Software development is not a bricklaying activity. It is not like that. It's not that the lower bricks will not change when you are laying upper layer bricks. Software development is dynamic and nothing completes till everything is complete. In the last 5 odd decades of software development, we have progressed a lot. I mean, a lot. In almost every field, barring one. And that one area is called software estimations. This is the one thing which troubles all software development activities of today. And believe me, everyone has tried to solve it in one way or other, but the success is still elusive. Now let's talk about the general way of doing software estimations as of today. And I have given it a name, very interesting name, and I call it as spare parts estimation technique. I will talk about why I'm calling it as a spare parts estimation technique, but let's talk about the technique itself. So in today's world, whenever we want to estimate software, we try to break it down into smaller independent units. Whether they are independent or not, that's a totally different discussion. But the idea is to break down software into smaller entities and estimate them all. And the overall estimation is always a sum of all. There are some adjustment possible, like doing things in parallel, but in general, it's all about the sum of all smaller estimations. Now, why we do this? Why we go ahead and do software estimations in this particular way? Well, the basic premise is that if you estimate smaller entities, the chances of going wrong will be less, which effectively means that the chances of going wrong with your estimate in the overall is also less. But does it happens? No matter what is the definition of a smaller unit, the estimations are always, kind of incorrect. You need to work hard, you need to do some tricks, tips, or maybe even cut some corners to make it right. Right? Now, before I go ahead and talk more about it, let me talk about why I call it as a spare parts estimation technique. Let's talk about a simple activity which, all of us generally do. Let's assume that we want to buy a car. And let's also assume that the car cost is X dollars. Okay, so you want to buy a car, it costs X dollar, fair enough. Now, what if you don't want to buy the car but buy all the spare parts that are available in the market and that makes the car? What will be its cost? It will always be more. It could be anywhere between 2x to even 10x depending upon the type of car you are buying. Now, this is not only the case with cars. Think about any general items. It is generally true that the cost of spare parts will be more than the cost of finished product itself. And there are multiple reasons for the same. For example, if you are buying spare parts, you need to give taxes on each and every spare part. It has its own packaging and shipping cost associated with it, and many other costs associated with it. That's why spare parts cost more than the finished good. Now, I know that you agree with me till this point, and you might be wondering what this has to do with software estimations. Well, there is a similarity because we do software estimations in the spare parts way. We estimate things, smaller things, and the overall estimation is the combination of all of them. And you know what happens when we just talk about the cost of spare parts? It inflates the cost. There is a serious inflation that is happening because of buying spare parts, anywhere from 2x to 10x, or maybe any x you can consider. Similarly, when we estimate the software by breaking the things into smaller entities, the spare part effect comes into picture. And what is this spare part effect? The inflation. So when you estimate your software by breaking things into smaller, independent, or less dependent entities, you inflate the estimates. Now you might be thinking, what on earth I'm talking about? Even after breaking the software into smaller, independent or lesser dependent entities and estimating them separately, we barely manage to honor the estimate. And I'm saying that we are inflating the estimations. Well, yes, I am. Think about it. What happens with the spare parts estimation is that you are more focused on that spare part than the overall picture or the overall product. I have rarely seen people working in different multiple teams worried more about the overall product as compared to what they are doing right now. If something I have to do it by tomorrow, a very small part, I am just focused on that. I am not focusing on the overall product. And you know what is the problem? Let me give you an example. Think about Google Map. In Google Map, if you ask that I want to go to JFK Airport from Manhattan, what it will tell you? It will tell you that I will take 33 minutes to cover approximately 18 miles. Just a disclaimer, just a screenshot at a particular time. Don't bank on this particular time. Okay. Now, this is what Google Map will tell me. Imagine if Google is doing spare parts estimation the way we do in our software development. What Google will tell us? Google will tell us that, okay, if you want to go to JFK from Manhattan, you will take 33 minutes to cover 18 miles only if you cover next mile in 2 minutes. And it will give me estimate for each and every mile. Only if I cover this mile in this much time, I will reach there in 33 minutes. Imagine the repercussion of that. You will always be stressed while driving, and every mile you will feel that whether you are a success or a failure because you want to reach there at some time or you can do it or not do it. Just think about this scenario. It will leads to, lots of stress, if not lots of accidents. Now, in general, whether you are bothered about these spare parts estimation technique, like, for each and every mile or not, you generally reach your destination approximately the same time without stress, without driving rash, without getting into any other, extracurricular driving activities to be able to honor that time. You do that within time. And this is the human factor that comes into picture when we do spare parts estimation. And effectively what we are trying to do is that we are trying to estimate each and every mile, and we want to make sure that we honor miles. Rather than thinking about destination, we are thinking about miles. And that leads to lots and lots of problems that happens in software development because of this kind of estimation technique. Doing shortcuts, technical debt, cutting corners, name it. It happens. And that's why I am not in the favor of spare parts estimation technique. You should never ever break things into smaller entities, what one team can do, one person can do, smaller tasks like how much work you can do in 4 hours, 8 hours. I'm not in favor of that because it will lead to the problem I just discussed. If you are a software developer and have ever estimated things like 2 hours, 4 hours, I know you agree with me because that doesn't make sense. Software development is not a bricklaying activity. It is not like that. It's not that the lower bricks will not change when you are laying upper layer bricks. Software development is dynamic and nothing completes till everything is complete. And there are hundreds of ways to do everything. It needs a broader mindset to keep the overall product in mind, to keep your destination in mind. Now, if you believe that whatever I am saying is correct, then what is the solution? We need to estimate things, right? People need to know how much time it will take for me to deliver a software. That's absolutely correct. We need that. But spare parts estimation technique is not the way. So, how to do it? What's the way? I will talk about the way in my next video. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. We will meet again. And till the next time we meet, good day, goodbye. You take care.